Hello friends, we welcome you to the next session of Verbal Logic and Reasoning. Under this module of Verbal Logic and Reasoning, we are discussing on several topics of verbal ability like logical deduction, deductive reasoning, critical reasoning and inferential reasoning, parajumbles, summary type questions, para-completion and many more important areas which are tested in various competitive examinations verbal ability section. Today, we are going to touch upon one of the most important areas of English, which is parajumbles. Unlike the areas of English grammar, vocabulary and reading comprehension, this is a very logical area. This is more of logic and reasoning instead of calling it a section of English. This is one section which students actually enjoy taking like anything. This is an area which can actually be very scoring section if you perform well. If you understand the approach, if you understand the question thoroughly, you can very easily score 90 to 100% accuracy in such questions. Be careful, this is an important session. Just try and understand all the concepts. We would start with the very basic concepts initially and then we'll gradually take you to tougher questions. At the end of the session, we also have certain CAT questions discussion planned. So be attentive throughout the session and pause the session wherever you feel like. So let's understand what are parajumbles. Demystifying the codes and tricks in the text. So what are parajumbles? Before we actually start discussing on what type of questions are these, here we have a very simple starter for you. These are 6 sentences in front of you which we want you to arrange in a coherent manner. So let's read them out, starting with sentence A. Roger Federer is the greatest tennis player of all time. B. His favorite surface is the grass. C. He is ambidextrous. D. He can play 4 hands with his right hand as well as the left hand. E. But he can play the backhand only with his right hand. F. And his favorite tournament is Wimbledon. So these are 6 sentences. I'm sure to many of you these must be appearing like well arranged sentences. No, but they aren't. These 6 sentences are given in a wrong order. So this is what we actually mean by questions of parajumbles. So these 6 sentences which are wrongly ordered, it's your job to arrange them in such a manner that they become a coherent paragraph. So here we present 4 choices in front of you. You can take some time and attempt this question. Are you finding the question to be a little confusing? Let's understand which choices should be ruled out and which one would you consider. Let us look at B part, which says his favorite surface. His is actually a pronoun that must be referring to something. In the similar manner, in C, D, E and F, you can see these pronouns he and his. So first of all, we actually need to identify that who is he. He refers to Roger Federer. So that is why the paragraph has to definitely begin with A. Other choices like 3rd and 4th choice will definitely need to be eliminated because a paragraph will always introduce a person first. Only after that you will talk about certain pronouns like he or his for him. So this is the first and the very basic approach of arranging sentences in parajumbles. Always start with a noun, followed by which you can put a pronoun. Pronouns are words like he, she, it, they, his, her, which refer to nouns. So pronouns will always be placed after you have introduced the name of a person. This is what we call as noun-pronoun relationship. Start with the noun first. Now follow it with the help of a pronoun. Let's see what happens further. So far we have been able to eliminate two choices, choice 3 and choice 4. So now we are down to these two options. Can you deduce what should be the answer from this step now? Let's identify further. Let's analyze the two choices once again, and let's see which one emerges as the best answer option. So we have already identified a good opener. When I say opener, I'm talking about the introductory sentence. The introductory sentence definitely of the paragraph has to be A, because that is introducing who this person is. We are talking about Roger Federer, who's the greatest tennis player of all time. The second approach after identifying the obvious opener is identifying the pairs. We call them mandatory pairs. Now, mandatory is something which is necessary, which is compulsory. Here we are referring to a set of two or more statements which will always come together, and that too in the same order. So let's see which all pairs can we find out here. Let's look at B part. His favorite surface is the grass. His refers to Roger Federer. His favorite surface is grass. Let's see, is there any other statement which is talking about something which is favorite? Yes, it's there in F. Look at F part. And his favorite tournament is Wimbledon. So B and F together make a sense. B and F make a pair together. BF should come together. That's one pair. Let's see which is the other pair that can be formed here. Looking at C part, he is ambidextrous. Do you understand who's ambidextrous? Yes. Ambidextrous is one who can perform any activity with equal comfort and skill with both hands. He's comfortable working with right hand, and he's comfortable working with left hand as well. So C talks about Roger Federer's quality of being an ambidextrous person. Now D and E further describe the same quality. He can play four hands with his right hand as well as with his left hand, but he can play backhand only with his right hand. So C, D, E together make a pair. So two different pairs that we've identified here are BF, that's one pair. The other pair is CDE. But now the question is, immediately after A, which pair would you put? Will it be BF or should it be CDE? Now this thing actually remains indecisive here, because CDE and BF both may actually follow the given statement. So it will be comparatively difficult to find out an answer for a question like this, as this question doesn't have a single answer. Both combinations can be valid. Depending on what is given to you in the answer choice, you will decide what is the answer. This is the ambiguity that parajumbles are stepped in. But here you should not be much worried. You would not be finding such options available. If it is there, there has to be some other strategy to be applied. Let's continue working on the other strategies now. As we discussed, this question doesn't have a definite answer, but three things we are sure about in this paragraph are: sentence A begins the paragraph because it's the obvious opener. It introduces Roger Federer, so it has to be the first sentence to start the paragraph with. The second thing that we can be sure about is the mandatory pair of BF. Since B and F both talk about his favorite things, favorite surface and favorite tournament. So BF makes a pair. The other pair which makes sense here is CDE. C talks about his being ambidextrous. D and E further elaborate on the same quality. So CDE is another pair which is making some sense here. So these are three things that you should actually look for while searching for the answer. The third thing here is, this is on the basis of opening sentence, and most important and only rule that applies in parajumbles. Always move general to specific. Now let's understand what is this general to specific thing. Moving from general to specific means to move from an introductory sentence to one that is detail oriented. In our case, the statement A is more general one since it introduces Roger Federer. This is one approach that will hold true not only for parajumbles but many more areas of critical and verbal reasoning. This will be applicable for summary type questions as well as for para completion. Moving from a general statement, that means a statement which is wide, which is detailed, to specific detail based questions. So moving from general to specific is a trick that you should remember for parajumble based questions. So now let's understand the very basics of what parajumbles are. Parajumbles, so far as you must have understood, is a set of different statements which are given in a wrong order, which you need to arrange so as to make it a coherent and logical paragraph. After arranging, you should ensure that the paragraph which is formed should be a complete paragraph. It has to be a meaningful paragraph. It should be a coherent paragraph, and it should be unambiguous in nature. That means when you read out the entire paragraph after arrangement, it must make some sense. You need to straighten the sentences, you need to rearrange the sentences in such a manner that they are making sense together. This section of parajumbles is also known by certain other names like ordering sentences, arrangement of sentences, and this section has actually appeared in different examinations of management entrance, even in engineering services examinations, in papers of bank PO, various clerical jobs, various other positions, even in civil services aptitude test also this section was seen last year when it was introduced for the first time. So parajumbles is one of the interesting areas. If you apply the basic concepts, there is no point that you will go wrong with such questions. So parajumbles, the sentences in parajumbles might actually be from different paragraph. That is also another thing that you need to be careful about. Let's say the test paper setter has picked up this question from a text of 2 pages which had some 5 to 6 paragraphs. The question paper setter has picked up these questions from a text of 5 to 6 paragraphs, and one representative line from every paragraph has been picked up. So it's not necessary that the sentences in parajumble will be definitely from a single paragraph only. You can also say that parajumbles are essentially a test of your reading and your comprehension. How fast you can read, what is your speed, and how well can you comprehend and arrange the sentences in different ways. Another thing about parajumble questions, though the basic pattern remains the same, but can be found out in different ways. Right now, the question that we were practicing had 5 sentences, had 6 sentences given in it, A, B, C, D, E, F, followed by choices, which presented 4 different combinations of answer choices. These 6 sentences question types can be given in a different manner also. The pattern in certain cases is like there is an opening sentence and there is a concluding sentence, which are given at correct positions. There are 4 sentences in between those which you need to arrange so as to make a coherent paragraph. This in a way can be easier to attempt also because there are some clues given. You know what is the introductory sentence. You also know what is the concluding sentence. there are 4 sentences in between that you need to arrange. The same pattern may appear in the format of 5 and 4 sentence type questions also. 4 sentence type questions are the easiest and the most plain ones to handle. These are less complex, these are less lengthy and can be answered very speedily also. Like 4 sentence type questions, 5 sentence type questions in which 5 sentences A, B, C, D and E are represented, which you need to arrange so as to make a coherent paragraph. But as suggested, whatever be the type, the approach of attempting the questions remains the same. You need to follow the same way, the same approach of attempting the question. So parajumbles are nothing but another method to test your comprehension skills. It is very similar to reading comprehension questions. In reading comprehension, the test paper setter wants to understand how well do you know the language, how well can you comprehend from the given information in limited time duration. Same is the approach here. It's just that this section is a little more logical. It's less of comprehension, it's more of logic and reasoning. The paper setter wants to see that how well can you perform within the given time under pressure. How well logical and reasoning based questions can you attempt. But remember the basic 2-3 approaches that we've discussed about. Look for the opener, look for the concluding sentence. Identify the pairs of sentences which will always go together and start ruling out the choices. Parajumbles or ordering sentences is one set that you may actually enjoy like anything, because here chances of scoring good, and that too in a limited time duration, are very high. A reading comprehension typical passage may take somewhere around 10 to 15 minutes of yours, depending on the length of the passage and the number of indirect answer based questions. But here parajumble questions will not consume more than 2 to 3 minutes of yours initially, and when you practice on the questions, very easily you can attempt the question only within 60 to 90 seconds. So let us start discussing on some practice questions and the respective approaches. So here we have the first question. We'll try and read it out. We want you to attempt the question, and then accordingly we would have a discussion. So the first question. A. This is a prime tiger country. B. Late March in Ranthambore, the world is all sunshine, crisp air and flowering trees. C. But in the late 1990s, tigers vanished from this open, rugged scrubland along the Aravallis. D. Today, in an ambitious conservation step, work is on here at a frenetic pace to bring back the Lord of the Jungle. Now we present 4 choices in front of you. You can have a look at the question and you can try and attempt the question. The first clue which we can present here for your help is try to find out a probable opening sentence, because opening sentence is one of the important clues that you should look for when you are attempting the question. You can take a few seconds time to attempt and arrange the sentences. So have you been able to attempt the question now? Let's understand what is the correct answer choice and what is the correct order of sentences. Let's look at A part once. This is prime tiger country. Now since we know a pronoun like this refers to a particular place. Prime tiger country, that means you're talking about some particular place. D part, in an ambitious conservation step, work is on here. at a frenetic pace. Here again signifies that we are talking about a particular place. Let us see what is that particular place and where has it come. Yes, it has been introduced in B part. Late March in Ranthambore, the world is all sunshine, crisp air and flowering trees. This is prime tiger country. This refers to Ranthambore. B-A makes a pair, where B is the introductory sentence. Another clue here is C. But in late 1990s, be extra careful to such words like but, because, so, therefore, as a result. These are the words which are known as transitory words, the words which indicate a transition or change of idea. But in late 1990s, tigers vanished from this open scrubland along the Aravallis. But indicates a contrast. There has to be a contradiction in the previous idea and this idea. So a contrast can clearly be seen between A and C. A introduces Ranthambore as a prime tiger country, but after some point of time, the tigers completely vanished from this place. So AC becomes a pair. D being the conclusion. Today, in an ambitious conservation step, work is on here at a frenetic pace. Frenetic is something that you're obsessed about.